The other day I watched myself an episode of the Rugrats, and all I could think about was dice. If this bald-headed pubic hair on top of his head mother Tommy Pickles can build a castle with his baby friends, if these walking nightmares can use just their imaginations to provide joy for hundreds of episodes, while also remaining infants for like 2 decades, then why is it that DICE cannot figure out how to make a game that works? Have you guys actually watched Rugrats recently? It's a f***ing nightmare. It's not the point. It's not the point. The point I'm making is that Tommy and Dill Pickles could figure out how to make a better version of Battlefield 5 than what EA and DICE are offering. Today on Two Tall Desk, it's an episode of I Told You So. I told you so. I told you so. You remember? You remember when Battlefield 5 came out last year, and a couple days after its release, I put out my video titled, "Do Not Buy Battlefield 5 Right Now." And in the video, what did I say? I said, this game is content deplete, it isn't finished, and most importantly, it doesn't work very well. And DICE's track record with EA and Battlefield shows that this game may not be fixed for a long time, if ever. And more importantly, the fact that the game has so little content and their focus already seems to be on things like Battle Royale, this game may never be worth your time or money. I said that a couple days after the game came out, and you know what I got? Hundreds, maybe thousands of people telling me there's no way DICE is gonna fix it. DICE is great. EA has nothing to do with this. Everything's gonna be fine. Well, guess what, Too Tall Crew? Everything wasn't fine. Everything's not okay. And look, I'm just an idiot with a camera, right? It's not like I made some crazy seance prediction here. I mean, for God's sakes, I shop at Tall and Blind. I get it. I'm not the guy over here making predictions that will send men to the moon. But what I am telling you is that this was premeditated. Anybody could have seen this coming. So let's talk today a little bit differently about the state of Battlefield 5 as it is. Now, I did my due diligence here. I wasn't just playing the game. I talked to people in the community, actual Battlefield YouTubers, people like Midas Gaming, about what's going on with Battlefield, and the reality is fivefold, which is not a phrase you'll ever hear because it sounds stupid when I said it the first time. But here it is. Battlefield's biggest problem right now, the reason videos like these and these are being made by prominent Battlefield YouTubers, is that the game works about as well as Todd Howard's pretty mouth. Looks real good until it opens up, and then it's just a waterfall of this.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, the cow says moo! Cock-a-doodle-doo, the cow says moo!
Battlefield 5 has been out for well over half of a year. In a few months, we'll be coming up on the game's year anniversary. And yet, falling through the map, clipping, hit registration problems, matches not being proportioned with players properly, weaponry not working, vehicles not working, entire matches coming to an end prematurely. Every single bug you can think of, Battlefield 5 has right now. Every single one! At this point, playing a match of Battlefield 5 is a risk-reward proposition on the same level as starting up Netflix at 4 in the morning while your parents are sleeping. It's either gonna go horribly wrong or somehow you're gonna get through it, but either way, those couple of seconds are not gonna be enjoyable. Part of this is because there's something clearly wrong with what DICE is doing within the Frostbite engine. Clearly, something is not working, but there are other problems that seem to be exacerbating the current glitchiness of the game. Look, people have complained time after time, again, about all of the glitches, all of the bugs. The problem with these things are that DICE knows they're happening. They've been there from basically day one. The problem is, updates seem to break more things while fixing other things, and this cycle seems to continue. There are literal bugs in this game that have been fixed in an update and literally broken again in the next one as they attempt to fix a different update, only to be fixed again. That's not a joke. The cycle of breaking and fixing Battlefield 5 is getting to a point now where nothing's being fixed at all. And that brings us to the number 2 problem with DICE and why these glitches may still exist. It's priorities. Tides of War Chapter 3 Trial by Fire Update Number 2 introduced Battlefield's new currency, which is literally called Battlefield's currency. With this currency, the game introduced the ability to spend real-world money to get fake, not real-world money to buy cosmetic items. With this, DICE shifted a little bit of their focus to create new epic items that they're going to release that you can get with your Battlefield currency, which you again spend real world money on to get fake money to spend the fake money on the not real world item. With the idea being that soon enough you'd be able to purchase time savers, which would get you more XP and get you in a position, again, using real world money to buy fake things, to get those things in a quicker fashion, essentially expediting your progression towards these things that don't matter. This came in April, just a couple of months ago. Now, why is that important? It's very important. While the game was still broken, while the game was still not functioning as it should, while the game was still not worth $60, DICE was focused on adding in new kinds of microtransactions, a premium currency, and putting you in a position where you could expedite your progress, all while not being able to properly play the game consistently in the first place. DICE pretends to communicate to recognize these problems, and guys, those of you in the Battlefield community, you don't deserve this. Battlefield 5 should be a great game, because the foundation underneath all this is a great game. But I want to make something clear. DICE and EA are excellent and master manipulators. It's like Roseanne Barr. It's really funny when the fat lady is making jokes about being fat on a television show, but then she gets a hold of Twitter and oh my god, that's who she really is. And it's the same thing here. It's all fun and games when DICE is making a game that, I don't know, works or eventually works, but then you see them in times like these, where they have a game that doesn't, where you really see EA's influence over this particular studio. I'm not trying to shift all the blame away, I'm just pointing out that these monetization systems were probably not their idea. And they become a focus of them instead of focusing on the game itself. Now, problem number 3 is a problem that is just as dramatic and along the same lines as number 2. It's priorities, but it's ridiculous priorities. It's Battle Royale. Look, DICE and EA, I get it. When I was 16, all of my friends wanted longboards, and I thought this is a really good idea. I wanted to be in on the trend. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be the longboarder. Oh, ladies would love me. So I got on one, and then I got my face by a pile of gravel and ended up looking like Seal after Heidi Klum divorces him. Not everybody's a longboarder, EA. Not everybody has that kind of skill. And the same can be said about any trend. Not every game needs a battle royale. Your game certainly did not. Firestorm was good, average, above average. It was fine. It wasn't better than the other battle royales on the market. It wasn't more interesting. It didn't do things in a brand new and novel way. It just kind of existed. It was EA's way of going, hey, we don't really have a battle royale. Let's get one now. And you can tell the game was fine. I don't have a better word for it. It seemed like an attempt to cash in on a trend, to maybe hopefully make a couple extra dollars doing something that would get people excited because they were excited about other things that do it better. And that's exactly what Firestorm ended up being. The problem, once again, is DICE's focus was partially, whether the whole studio was focused on it or not, or even 3 people, regardless, resources and time were spent making Firestorm what it was and continuing to update Firestorm instead of fixing the game, instead of making sure the game itself runs properly, instead of making sure that the community of people that are there to play Battlefield, you know, the game you're supposed to be selling, are pleased with the experience they have. They're once again focused on a trend, on the dollar, on money. I have news for you. If DICE was really focused, if EA was really focused on just putting out a battle royale game that they thought was going to be really good and was going to be a staple of the genre moving forward, and they thought they had something, they would have released it separately from Battlefield and made it free to play instead of gating it behind the purchase of Battlefield 5 from day one. That's what this would have been. Them gating it from day one was an indictment of what this game mode was going to be, and sure enough, that's what it was. Firestorm has done nothing to help the Battlefield experience. It's done nothing to bring in new players, and more importantly, it's done nothing to fix the game people paid for in the first place. But that brings us to issue number 4. And that's exactly what this game was in the first place. When I was 7 years old, I was really into TAEKWONDO. It's probably because I was getting my ass kicked at school, but forget that. I had a birthday party, and I invited this girl that I was dating at 7 years old. Moving on again. And I was so stoked. I was going to show her my moves. I was going to have a great birthday party. It was going to be grand. So I'm having my party. Everything's going really, really well. My expectations are super high. It's going to be great. This girl's going to come. She's going to have a good time. We're going to get married. It's going to be wonderful. Girl shows up. She's having a good time. Then it's time to do a little fun little sparring exercise. So I'm like, this is my time. I pick her. We get up, do a little spar, and I'm like, yeah, my 7-year-old self. I'm like, yeah. Then she kicks me in the face and leaves me with a black eye. It's not a joke. It happened. The point, I learned a lesson that day. Taekwondo sucks. Don't do that again. And I quit Taekwondo. Gamers have trouble after they get kicked in the face learning their lesson. We were burned, in case people have forgotten, by the launch date of Battlefield 4. No one seemed to learn from that lesson. Battlefield Hardline wasn't exceptional either, and everybody got their hopes really high for Battlefield 5, and so they all bought in on Battlefield 5, and then Battlefield 5 launched, and the game was half complete when the game came out. This is problem number 4, expectations and what those mean. The game was half completed, and people said, they'll fix it. Look what they did with Battlefield 4. Look how great that game became. They'll fix it, it's gonna be fine. And then they got kicked in the face. This is the kick, right now. Battlefield 5, as I said in my original video, was not in a position to be sold for its single player campaign was not complete. Its co-op mode was not ready for launch. Its Battle Royale mode was months away from being ready for launch. Its content rollout and plans were not ready to go. And most importantly, the game was in a very bad, buggy, and messed up technical state. But yet, from some outlets, the game received 7s and 8s and 9s because no one seemed to care that the game was literally as unfinished as a game could possibly be. There was not a single part of Battlefield 5 at launch that was complete. Not the single player story, not the technical state of the multiplayer, not its modes, not its co-op. Even its stat tracking was incomplete. Everything about this game screamed something's not right. And from that moment forward, EA and DICE, more importantly DICE, were playing catch up with everything they had to do from then on out. Do we fix this problem in the game, or do we finish the Battle Royale? Do we fix this issue, or do we finish co-op? Do we fix this, or do we finish single player? Every single step of the way, for basically its entire life, DICE was playing catch up on literally completing the content of the game. Fixing the game almost had to be put on the back burner because they had to fulfill the bigger, larger, marketable promises that EA and DICE made. They had to get the marketable back-of-the-box stuff done before they could actually finish the game itself. And that's a huge issue. That's never going to turn out well for a studio or a publisher, but that's exactly what happened here. And when I talk with people like Midas Gaming, when I talk to other people that play Battlefield, that's something that they all seem to agree on, which is this game needed an entire year's more of development before being released. That much is clear, and I do want to make something clear again, because it's important. The foundation of Battlefield 5, the game underneath all of this, in my opinion, is very good. It's fun, it's enjoyable, but you can't get to it. You have to dig so deep to get there that it's almost unreasonable. I even enjoyed the single player, which also had technical problems upon release. And issue number 5, and I think this is the most important issue here, issue number 5 is the response. Now I played Battlefield, hopped back into Battlefield for this video. I saw a lot of these things for myself, and I'm also showing a lot of stuff here that came from the original release to show you just how long these problems have existed and how long these glitches and issues and errors and all of this stuff has been going on. But it's the response to all of this from that moment to now that I think is the most disheartening and Battlefield's biggest issue. DICE hasn't exactly inspired, they haven't given anybody a reason, especially not the community that deserves better, a reason to believe that this is going to get better. They say a lot of pretty things when they say anything at all. They have great patch notes. When a patch drops, they're Todd Howarding, essentially. Hey, this flying mammoth doesn't make any sense, but you know what? Neither did live action Aladdin, and they did that too, so we'll fix it someday, maybe. They're just gonna keep making these live action movies, by the way. Can we do a Goofy movie? Because that's some shit I wanna see. I wanna see live action Goofy. That'll be nightmare fuel for generations. But it's not the point. The reaction that we have seen out of DICE, this slow, we'll fix things, break things, fix things, break things, but say all of these things that make you feel like maybe we're gonna fix it all instead of breaking it all, is disingenuous at best and misleading at worst. It's almost as though DICE knows that whoever's still dealing with Battlefield 5, that group of people is understaffed. They don't have the resources or the time to fix these problems. The problem I have with that is that no one's able to just come out and say that. If you're gonna treat Battlefield 5 like this, just move on. Just move on. I want the game to be fixed as much as the next guy. But if you're not going to fix it, either admit it or staff up. Give DICE, EA, the resources and people to make this work and make this better. You owe that to the people playing Battlefield 5. You owe it to that community. Because I have news for you. The Battlefield 5 community is a hardcore community, but more importantly, they're a tight-knit community for the most part, from what I have seen. I'm not a member of the hardcore Battlefield community, but I've seen nothing but good stuff out of that community. Their YouTubers are all excellent, they're in-depth, they know what they're talking about, and they want to build positively off the things that you release, unlike other communities. That's a community that deserves better, and they're just not seeing it. And you guys not being totally real with them is the worst thing I've seen out of this whole situation. But now I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of Battlefield 5 at this point? Is this a game you'd play if it were free to play? Is this a game that could take any of your money? Are you enjoying Firestorm? Have you stopped playing the game? More importantly, would you pay for Battlefield 6 at launch? Let me know the answer to any of those questions down in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you are not yet subscribed, you can press that little red button that says subscribe too, because that's what that does. Also hit the bell. Please hit the bell, because in the last video, for example, no one was notified at all. So if you want to see any of these and want to know when they come out, you really have to hit the bell. So that's just a heads up. Literally no one was notified of that last one. My phone wasn't, for example. And yes, I'm subscribed to myself. Thank you very much. I have to love me before anybody else can, so thank you. I need your judgment. Really quickly, no, the in-depth, highly edited videos have not gone anywhere. There's just not a lot of games coming out right now, and there isn't really a lot of topics that justify that kind of video. They'll keep coming alongside Too Tall Desk. They're just gonna come when they're necessary. I don't wanna make one of those videos if it's not important enough, or if the topic it doesn't dictate it, essentially. I don't wanna make them just for the sake of doing so. I wanna make what I love, and I love making those videos as long as they make sense. So until next time, guys, I'm out.